Knowing, we just talked about what it means to know. And so I'm going to go into that and explore this idea a little bit further with you today. Because when we know that we know, and you sometimes know that you know, but you ignore the fact that you know that you know. Anybody aware of that? And when you ignore the fact that you know, and then something else happens and you went, I knew it, I should have done something different. Remember that? So we're going to talk about what it means to know and how to act on that knowing so that you move in a direction for your greater good. First one is this. George Bernard Shaw said, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. And this is one thing that I have to know and remind myself, because we're kind of brought up in a culture that's like, when you get to a certain age and certain things happen to your body, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. And, but I also see people that are going totally against that and trying new things and wonderful things and going out on the limb and saying to this, I'm not going to buy into that idea. The second I start playing like I'm old or older, I start feeling my body become old and older, and then I start making excuses for behaviors like, I don't know, when we were in Paris, I met a croissant. Krispy Kreme, move over, right? And so I had to keep, am I on? All right, and so I had to keep telling myself, okay, these are the experiences you want to have, but you have to make sure that if you want to play, you want to take care of yourself, you want to be balanced and have an orderly life. That means that there will be areas in your life that won't be balanced. That's okay. That's just life. Rarely do I know a lot of people that in the aggregate, they're just all angelic and everything works out perfectly. No, there's something going on. Does anybody here have something going on? Yeah. We could start a huge support group of people who are dysfunctional and looking for something else to happen. I mean, we are there. That's us. That's who we are. But we got to stop. We have to stop thinking that we have to stop playing. We want to keep in the game. When you want different for yourself, you have to start moving differently in your understanding of who you are. Old keys don't unlock new doors. Ooh, yeah. Old keys don't unlock new doors. Don't pour new wine in old skins. That's just another way of saying it. But think about how many times you go back to the old ways of doing something because you know them, and then you unlock the door with you try to unlock something with an old key, and it doesn't create anything new. You find yourself right back where you started again going, how did this happen? Because you didn't move into a new phase of knowing and accepting. You didn't move into the consciousness of change, and no one likes that. Anyone here love change? I don't like change at all. That's bull. No, I like to sail and experience things. As soon as change pops up, I get uncomfortable. But I have to move out of that comfort zone to know that this is what's happening next. I need to use a new key on the new lock. So if you've been using your old key to unlock your problems, then you haven't been listening. We need here. Because you can't approach it the old way. You go the new direction. Knowing is the purest form of unwavering faith. We talk about wishing and hoping, and then you move into knowing. Knowing is the purest form of faith. It's the baseline. Sometimes knowing what to do is knowing when to stop doing something. Anyone? Yeah, you decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. And when you make that declaration of knowing that I'm not going to let someone treat me this way, or I'm not going to let something happen this way, I'm not going to repeat this again, when you finally make that declaration that it's no longer wishy-washy, you're solid, rock solid on the decision, that knowing, then your world begins to change. But until then, the old patterns keep pushing up against you, don't they? And the old people and the old emotions keep pushing up against you. And until finally you go like this, I can't take this anymore. Anyone relate? Yeah. So sometimes knowing what to do is knowing when to stop doing what you're doing. To step back, take a look, make a change, and say, I'm not going to repeat this again. Does anybody ever see this? When you see this is a true test of your faith. Because I know many people that see this and they go, shoot. Anybody? Yeah. And notice that there's 4 columns there and then one in the middle. It's like the 4 pillars of life. Sometimes we see these corrupt. The contents are corrupt. Anybody look familiar? Most people never heal because they stay in their heads replaying corrupt scenarios. When you want to know, you have to let it go. And when I said no, if you want to know peace, then you're going to have to let something go because something's holding you from that. If you want to know joy, the same thing. Something is holding up your joy, your happiness, your serenity, your health, your balance, your order, your love. Whatever it is that you're not feeling, my guess is that there is some corrupt scenario that you're replaying in your head, whether true or not. And what I have found is most things are never just one way or the other. In human relationships, there's your story, there's their story, and then there's the story. And no matter how hard the ego wants to stay on, I'm right, you're wrong, that's not going to move you in the direction of your good. It's when you finally stop playing that corrupt message. And think about it. Wouldn't it be great if you had this thing in your brain that when you started having these thoughts over and over again, you had this corrupt line just pop up into your glasses or pop up on the screen in front of you and go, stop this. You're creating more of it. But when you get to that place of knowing, then when these corrupt stories start coming up in your head, they don't even match up to your consciousness anymore. They become irrelevant, and they become part of your history, and you don't even look back. You're just like, keep moving. Constantly moving in the direction of my dreams. Constantly moving in the direction of that which I desire. Constantly moving into something greater expression. We're not meant to play small. We're meant to paint it red and live it big. How many times have I said that? 1,000. If you want to be happy, you have to be happy on purpose. When you wake up, you can't just wait to see what kind of day you'll have. You have to decide what kind of day you'll have. You can't just wait to become happy. You have to make a conscious choice. Trey and I have a spiritual practice. I don't know if I told you about it. Did I ever tell you about the well done, my good and faithful servant? So, my friend David Alt, who you probably know David, he's a singer, he's performed here before, lots of Asilomars, and I called him up because I was in a spiritual situation and I needed a counselor, I needed someone to talk to, and David's my practitioner now because Reverend Marion can't talk to me now, she only talks to me in my head. So I called David up and I said, I told him what the issue was, and he said, you know what, Joe, what I'm hearing is you telling me a bunch of stories, but what I want to hear is what have you done that's good? What have you done that you accomplished? And I said, he said, no, you don't get it. You have to go to the simplest things in life. Did you go to the grocery store? Yeah. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Did you pay for it? Yes. Did the credit card go through? Well done, my good and faithful servant. Did you unload those groceries? Did you have the physical ability to stand up and, well done, my good and faithful servant? When you put the groceries away, did you say to myself, I accomplished that, I cleaned up the kitchen, well done, my good and faithful servant? I want you to say, well done, my good and faithful servant, to absolutely everything you accomplished on the subconscious level that I made a cup of coffee for Trey. Well done, my good and faithful servant. He made it for me. Now I'm not talking servant. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done, my good and faithful child of God. You're doing something. What I found is I was saying, well done, my good and faithful servant, all day long. And it drowned out the situations that were around us that were chaotic. Because I was able to focus on that which I knew we'd accomplished. Even if it was just something, took the dogs for a walk. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done, you did this. Acknowledge the things that you do and the things that your body does, and you're going to have a new awareness about how much you actually do, and then how much is actually working. And the dysfunction's always going to be around us, always. You can't escape that. We're people. Wherever 2 or more are gathered, there's conflict. Jesus may be present, but there's people pissed off, right? So sometimes, okay, and this is another thing too. It may look like I'm doing nothing. Sometimes people are like, what are you doing? It may look like I'm doing nothing, but in my head, I'm quite busy. Anybody? Yeah. And you're like, what in the hell is going on with you? And But no, this is what the point of the knowing is. Sometimes it appears that there is a downside to knowing. So sometimes when you're digesting things, and you can relate to this in a minute, when you're digesting things and you're trying to sort them through into place of my knowing, because that's beyond the place of hoping and dreaming and wishing, it's the place of going to that place. Sometimes this can happen. And this is what I have found. Knowing and the process of knowing can bring about sadness. And here's why. Sadness is actually caused by intelligence. The more you understand certain things, the more you wish you didn't understand them. Does that make sense? And then you have to deal with the fact that you're sad because you understand. And that understanding is going to force me to take action to move into the direction of my good in a different way, because once you know that this is making you sad because you understand something, you can't go back to it or you will repeat that sadness. And when you know that you know, sometimes you have to make a change, because if you don't, you're going to continue to be in the sadness, because the sadness will continue to present itself on situations that continually pop up in your life to remind you, move! Get the hell out of the way! You gotta make a shift. Is this making sense? Yes. So the sadness is okay. How do you know when you're approaching a phase of knowing? And I call it a phase of knowing because I pop in and out of knowing and despair and grief and happiness and joy and anger. I pop in and out. Does anyone else have these shifts? Am I the only Sybil up here? I don't think so. When it's time for something new, you will feel it. You will feel a desire to let go, to shed the layers, to move, and to recreate. To recreate. You're going to, that sense of sadness, that phase of knowing is that phase of sadness. Yes, did that make sense? When you get to that place of being sad, you're on your way to knowing. So when you look and you get down and depressed, it's because you're on the precipice of moving into a healed condition if you want to move into it. Making sense? You will know because there will be subtle shifts all around you. You will release the old because you are really clearing the path for what's ahead. Trust the process and know. That's the hardest thing to do, because the includes or may include, change, shift, uncomfortable situations, talking to people about things that are uncomfortable, putting yourself into a place where your intestines go up into your earlobes. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to have this conversation, but if I don't have it, I'm not going to move on from this. Sound familiar? Okay, so I have a story to demonstrate this, and I really hope I can pull this off. All right, so when we look at how the universe has created things in perfect order, on the first day, God created the dog and said, I want you to sit all day by the door and bark at anybody that walks by. And for this, I'm going to give you a lifespan of 20 years. The dog said, this seems like a long time to be barking. How about only 10 years and I give you 10 years back? And God said, deal. All right? God agrees. On the second day, God created the monkey and said, entertain the people, do tricks and make them laugh. And for this, I'm going to give you a lifespan of 20 years. And the monkey said, 20 years of doing tricks all day long? How about if I give you back 10 years? God said, okay, fine. Just like the dog did, 10 years. On the third day, God created the cow and said, I want you to go into the field. I want you to work under the hot sun. I want you to have calves. I want you to make milk. And it's going to be really difficult to support the farmer's family, but for this, I'm going to have you do this for 60 years. The cow said, well, what would you say? The cow said, that's kind of a tough life. How about 20 years and I'll give you back the other 40? So God agrees. On the fourth day, God made the human and said, I want you to eat, sleep, have sex, have fun, travel, experience love. I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to just have everything you want. And for this, I'm going to give you a lifespan of 20 years. And the man said, what? I get to all the fun stuff you want me to do in my life, and you're only going to give me 20 years? He said, how about if I take the 40 that the cow gave back and the 10 that the dog gave back and the 10 that monkey gave back, and that will give me a lifespan of 80 years. And here we are. But it gets better. And that's why you spend the first 20 of your years of your life eating, sleeping, playing, and having sex. The next 40 slaving at work like the cow did to support your family. The next 10 years doing monkey tricks to entertain your grandchildren. And then for the last 10 years of your life, like the dog, you sit on your porch and bark at everybody. True, right? In order to love who you are, which is the first step, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. Say that with me. In order to love who you are, which is the first step, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. What I neglected to tell you is also one of my trips. I went to my 40th class reunion. The first reunion I'd ever been to. Scared to death. Because I was always the little gay boy they used to pick on. Right? And I'm thinking, well, now I'm like, oh, yes. You mess with me, man. So my friends, all my friends, we decided, okay, we're going to go together. I had the best time. And the experiences that had shaped many of my beliefs about my experiences in high school were totally dismantled, and they were just not believable anymore. The people who I thought were my bullies were like, oh, Joe, how are you, man? I'm like, who the hell are you? You used to beat me up, you know? And they were really kind, and they were wonderful, and there was a sense of something different. I think it came with age, maybe, the fact that we're all 40, and, you know, everybody's looking like you're 40 years older. But those experiences that I used to just hate, that shaped who I was, right? Now I embrace them. And I'm grateful for them because they did shape me to the person that I am today. And I was able to forgive, which I think is one of your big highlights here. I was able to forgive that and move into a place where I went, that was really fun. I had the best weekend. I'm so glad I did that. So we have to look at things. If you hated the experience, it's time to move on. Because unless you want it to continue to shape you in the way that may or may not have been corrupt, like the files. Is this making sense? Yes. Good. Most people have aha moments. Do you know those people? They're like, aha, I finally get it. Yeah, I never had those, but sometimes it just feels like this. Ready? Oh, for God's sake, are you kidding me moments? I wish I had those aha moments, but I don't. I have, what the hell just happened moments. Does anybody have those? How many people have the ahas, or how many people have more of these? Yeah. Come on, everybody has these. Yeah, everybody, come on. I know you're trying to lie because you don't want to appear to be not metaphysical in church. Show me your flaws. Take your mask down. Here we go. No, just kidding. So some people have those aha moments. And that's when they move into a place of knowing. Some of us have to go a little bit deeper into an experience and experience discomfort to get to that. And usually it's kind of a shocking discomfort, like, oh my God, why the hell did that happen to me? And usually if I look in the mirror, I know exactly why it happened to me. I, in some way, shape, or form, brought everything into my life experience. So I was a participant, I was a volunteer, right? So sometimes the aha moments, stop looking for the aha moments. And when you have these moments, they're the same. Because we want the aha moments. We want the big firework, joy, happiness experiences, but we miss the daily ones that pop up in our lives. The little things that pop up, the teaching opportunities within our daily life. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Being willing is not enough. You must do. So you may have the knowing, but if you're not doing, you're pretending. You're dreaming. It's an illusion. If you know that you know, then act on it. Act on it. Do something to make it unfold. Start the process. Will you mess up? You may. Who here hasn't had a mistake? We've all married them. Not currently, but your ex. Wow, tough crowd. But we've all moved on from something that didn't work, that we made a mistake. Big deal. It's part of your fabric. We were talking about that the other day. It's like, when you look at the fabric of your life, people who come in and out of your life, their colors weave in and out of the fabric of your life. And some people came in and that thread is still present. And sometimes it's there for a while that color leaves and another person comes in, or you create another situation but the fabric is strong. It's not as weak as you think it is. Your fabric is very strong and always has been, and the people that have come in and out of your life, the life experiences you have come in and out of your life, being willing isn't enough. Knowing what you need to know, that it's continuing to build the fabric of your life, that's the most important thing, so you can step into the new color. You can step into the new design. Get the new key, unlock the new lock of experience for yourself. So I want to close with this. My niece wrote this, and it's hard to see, but I have to tell my niece I don't even know how she is. She's really young. And she is probably one of the most spiritual little kids I've ever met in my life. And they had an assignment, which is, what does it say there? It says, my pep talk. All right? You had to write your pep talk. And now she's probably, I'm going to say 7 or 8. And this is what she wrote. Are you ready? Don't count off for spelling. Believe in yourself, from a little kid. Believe in yourself. You can do it. Follow your hopes and dreams. Don't stop doing it. Keep trying. Do your best. You are a team. Be kind. You can do anything. Don't be bored. Do what you love. Tell someone you love them. Be awesome. So Isla, I know Isla, you may be watching this, and this is for you, honey, because when I saw that, they posted it up on Facebook, and I thought, I certainly wish my pep talk, I would have had that kind of internal dialogue when I was like in 2nd grade or 3rd grade or whatever, and had that dialogue to start beginning my life with. But it's never too late to have that experience. And so I look at her little list. Don't be bored, be awesome. Keep trying. You are the team. You are a team. You are enough. You don't need anything else outside of you. Everything that you've ever needed is right within you right now. It always has been, always will be. And that which you don't know you have will show up when you need it. That you think that you don't have, you will find it when you need it. It will appear before you, and you will walk in that knowing. But the key is knowing that it's there, so you're not walking in fear, but walking in the ultimate of faith, which is knowing. So this is what I'm knowing for you, and for this community, that it continues to thrive, that it continues to grow, and that you're going to see new leaders and new people pop up and new experiences, and they're all part of the fabric that has built this institution that's been here for almost 50 years. And colors come and go, but they're just colors, and new colors will come in, and new fabrics will come in, and new styles will come in, and everything's going to be different, and things change, and that's okay, but the fabric of our teaching remains intact. The fabric of what I've always taught now since I started this 20 years ago is intact. That has not changed one iota. I certainly have. I realize the only way I'm going to have a smoking body is when they pull me out of the crematorium. There are certain things I've just come to accept. Blue cheese dressing and croissants, I'm sorry, you're just going to be part of my life. But everything you've ever needed to know, you know. Believe it or not, you do. And you may say, I don't know. That's an affirmation of not knowing, and that crap has to stop. That phrase, I don't know what to do. No, I know what to do, and I move forward in the direction of my good, and the universe puts before me everything I need to accomplish it, and then some. And then it moves me into a greater expression after that. So I'm never finished. I'm never done. There's always something more to be done, something more to experience. And when you say yes, you will make that happen. I've said it, and I'm going to say it again. No doesn't grow anything. The word no doesn't grow. The yes, when Sebastian said, come to my birthday party, you're halfway here, you're in Iceland, I looked at Trey and I said, oh man, we made an agreement not to say no. Oh my God, we got to say yes. And I tell you what, best thing I ever did, most amazing vacation we've ever had. And it was because none of it was planned and it was all yes. You want to go, Rob's going to meet us in Paris? Yes. You want to go to the Eiffel Tower? Yes. You want to have a croissant for 3 hours and coffee? Hell yeah. You don't have to run around. You guys have known something that I just have figured out, that when you're retired, it's amazing. It is, it's amazing. I know that every day when I wake up about 9, sometimes 10, I know that I have to plan my good for the day. And I have to affirm my good is in this day. And sometimes the distractions may be pretty loud and may be heavy, and there may be dramas going on in my family and other families and all that stuff. But I have to make sure that I maintain myself and my knowing, because if I'm going to be able to contribute to anyone else's life or make my life better, I have to stay rooted in that idea. So root yourself in that knowing for yourself. The only mystery is how long it's going to take you to get there. There's no mystery out there in the universe. It may appear like a mystery, but it's just trying to tell you, start focusing in on your own knowing, Joe. And when you do that, that's when it begins. And so ends your lesson. Thank you for letting me speak today.